Are you ready? Tell us when you're filming.
3, 2.
Hi everyone. Today we are talking about how we met in the spirit of Valentine's Day. So Kev, I'll let you start. This is my wonderful husband, Kevin, of how many years? 25 years? I'm like a dude, you guys. I keep forgetting how long we've been married. We've been
together over 30 years.
Yes, 31.
Yes, 31.
31 years.
By the way, I just want to note for the camera, this is my first video appearance. This is like a hostage video. Can you see I'm blinking out like my message that I normally have. In fact, I've never done this. She is the Oprah of the couple. I'm very much a Stedman, like in the background, never hear of him, never see him. I'm like the, groundhog, Puxatawny Kev. You pull him out maybe once a year, so...
So this is a hostage video. I had to talk him into doing this. But I do think you should know, as a couples therapist and an individual therapist, that I'm able to keep my own relationship going. And so this is the first time I'm having us do something that's a little more public. When we started out, couples like us, African American and white, weren't that in fashion, I guess. We're a little bit, we were different. We consider ourselves like we paved the way. I mean, we're not the Lovings who were the first couple who went to the Supreme Court, but man.
Well, it was Star Trek, right? William Shatner and Lieutenant Uhuru had the first on-screen kiss.
That was a kiss. We're talking about real people. So anyway, back in the 80s, we met at a place called the King's Head in Santa Monica, which is still in existence. It's at Ocean in Santa Monica. And I was playing darts with a friend of mine. Do you remember her name?
No, that's good, right? That I don't remember. You had 2 or 3 of your girlfriends. There was 3 of you total.
You think that's good?
Well, you had 3.
Don't remember? I think it's awful that we don't remember them.
3, Diane or something was one of them.
Diane, that was it. Diane. So there was Diane, and there was one other person who I can't remember was with us, and we were playing darts, and I think we were playing against some guys, right?
No, you were standing there with your friends, and I came in. I had 2 of my buddies with me, Steve and Carlton, and I came in to basically pave the way, kind of shotgun approach, to see who I could actually chat up and charm off their feet. And I was successful in holding the fort until my reinforcements came in, and then all 3 of us were talking to all 3 of you. And we had a great time. We went to Ned Kelly's, the dance place right across the street.
That's true. We talked so much, and we said, hey, we're going to go over to this place. We're going to walk to this place where we can go dancing. And it was really fun because not only at the time, because it was the 80s, they played all this great music, current music, but they played a lot of music from the 60s and the 70s. And it was really, really awesome. Lots of Motown and, sort of, I don't know, like the Monkees, and this is, for those of you in the audience, you guys probably won't know who those folks are.
The Romantics, What I Like About You, those sort of things.
Yeah, it was really, really, really fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think after that we walked to Ned Kelly's, and then I kind of danced. I guess we danced a little bit. Patrick, you're going to have to stop it. Kevin is really shiny.
It's just so hot in here, that's all.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
oh,
it's
please.
true. He doesn't want this, but you know what? It's good for you.
It's like when people put like clothes on a pet, This is
You're my pet.
Yeah, it's just like, it's unnatural, put it that way.
Well, you have to do it so you look decent on camera, otherwise.
Do you need this, Ken? Yeah, there you go. It turns.
It's flipped over.
Okay, then go ahead.
And so we walk over to this place, we dance a little bit, and I remember at one point Steve was dancing with me, but then you tried to dance with me, and I saw what was going on. I was not having any of it. I'll just say it right now. I was not remotely interested. I already had designs on another guy, And I could tell
You had a boyfriend.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a boyfriend.
Well, and plus he was British too, so you have to overcome that because you could be the ugliest dude in the world, but if you have a British accent, you're up against some pretty stiff competition.
So, believe it or not, the guy that I was seeing named Neville actually lived in the same building as Kevin, which is wild, off of Bundy in Los Angeles. And after that, it's weird, that night at Ned Kelly's, I gave Steve my number, and how he got my number was we started talking about, well, I said I like to cook. They said they like to eat, but they don't know how to cook. And so I said, okay, if you guys buy the ingredients, I'll come over and cook for you. And that's how the friendship started. I literally would go to their place. They actually moved from Bundy. They actually moved from Bundy to Manhattan Beach. That was it. Manhattan Beach. And so I would go over, I would cook. They would complain about how much I spent on the food. They were like mad because they were used to eating like noodle top ramen every
those
day.
are like 25 cents a pack.
Yeah, back then they were like 25 cents a pack. It's like the olden days, guys. And so I would make things like shrimp scampi or Florentine chicken, and they would
She would take our monthly budget and spend it on one meal.
Not true. Don't believe it. They were cheap, okay? And so it just happened that I would hang out all weekend with them, and I was still seeing Neville, but it was kind of waning. And then I actually started dating someone else. So this is like over like 9 months. I was not interested in Kevin. Let me just get that really clear. I was not interested. And he would do these weird things. Remember this? Like, he would say things to me. Oh yeah, I've got this lava lamp in my room. Like, come and check it out. It was just like the old, like, you know how guys would, like, they yawn, like they put their arm around you, that kind of thing. It was just, I could see what was happening, and so I just tried to like let him know that I wasn't interested in him. But then I had the guy that I started seeing after Neville, he was a little bit of a stalker. Kind of a stalker. And so I called because back then, they had answering machines and so forth. I'm like, hey, Kev, Steve, can I come over for the weekend? Yada, yada, yada. I don't want to say his name. It's giving me a hard time. And so Kev said, sure, but Steve's not here. How about I take you out to dinner?
That's right. We went to Macho's.
Machos.
In
Yeah.
Westwood.
It just had like margaritas and had chips and salsa, and I don't know what else we had, but it was really, really fun.
Well, we had a great dinner. We came back. We found we had the same sense of humor. We were both laughing at the same parts of the Mary.
Don't tell them the show.
What, the Mary Tyler Moore show?
Oh my gosh, I cannot
It's
believe
classic.
you make us sound ancient.
Well, you can still find it on TV.
Okay, so we've been together since the dinosaurs roamed, okay? So like
It wasn't. We weren't watching it live. We were watching a rerun.
I know, but it sounds.
You can still watch it today.
We sound so old and corny. Like we were watching the Kardashians, or we were watching, something that sounds a little bit better, The Office. But no, again, guys, it was when the dinosaurs roamed. So we, it was when television, you didn't have as many channels. You did have some cable. And it was interesting because that night, it was definitely, it was fun. And I had a really good time. And I started to see him a little bit differently, but not much. And Kevin and Steve, I think a few days later, came into...
to Bullock's, where you were working.
Yeah, it's like a Macy's, and it's in Westwood, right near UCLA, or it was. It's gone out of business. And Kevin comes in, and here's his big move, okay? And I have to say, it did work. He came into... I was working in the lingerie department. He and his friend Steve came in, and they were like, oh, we came in to see you. And I'm like, get out of here, because they were like looking at all the lingerie and commenting on it. and so I told them they had to leave. And so Steve is like, you know, he's like this 6'3" guy, and I'm like, bye, Steve. I give him a big hug and say, I'll see you guys a little bit later. And with Kevin, I went like that. Like I put out my hand because I knew he was interested in me and I just didn't want to give him any play, right? And so he goes, oh, I don't get a kiss too. I don't get a kiss. And so,
well, yeah, then I pointed at my cheek.
he did like this. He goes,
Just a kiss on the cheek.
yeah. And so I leaned in to give him a kiss, and he turned his head so that our lips touched. It was a real gangster move on his part, because I could have been really like, you know, but it was because it took me off guard. It was a little bit, it was kind of magical.
Look, I learned that from Charlie Chaplin. Did that in some.
You keep bringing up all of these. Like, I mean, take us back as far as you can. Like, a lot of people who watch me on Instagram, like, I don't want them to think we're like, we're from the 19, you know, I don't know, the 1920s or something. So guys, please just disregard. Remember, this is his first time.
Well, wait a minute, it worked.
I can't take it. Much better.
I feel like Albert Brooks in broadcast news. Remember where he does
Oh my God. So nobody else is going to know this. I really need for you to bring it up to at least the 2000s. So you can tell I'm a lot younger than he is. So anyway, he learned his signature move.
I learned and look, that's all she wrote. We've been together ever since.
Literally, we went out on a date and that was it.
Yeah.
Like we have been, because the kiss was, it was magical.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. It was. I totally looked at him differently, and it was one of those kisses like you see in the movies where,
like Lady and the Tramp, or the
like again, Moana or something. When I kissed him, and it was like one of those kisses. It wasn't like it because it surprised me. It was a little lingering, and so it was like, you know, like. But this is the part that Kevin does not want to talk about. So fast forward 3 months later.
Oh no, we're not going there.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, because I want my audience to know.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
So anyway, am I going to have to powder him again?
You've got this cranked up to sauna level here.
This tells you guys, like, he's got a young wife. I won't say how much younger I am than him, but I'm definitely younger. And he's like hot flashing here. This is what everybody has to do on YouTube. If you don't, you look terrible.
Oh my God.
And nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to believe that anybody gets shiny in real life. Kevin and his guy friends had this rule that there were no, like, Fridays were for the boys, right? And because I wasn't dating any one of them, and I would hang out and I'd cook for them, and I became part of that group. And so it was all of them, 4 guys and me. And so then we started dating, right? And they still didn't kick me out of the club, so to speak. But so I would go over on a Friday and we'd hang out. Maybe we'd spend the night at my place, like on a Sunday or something. But we had been hanging out like this for maybe 3 months. And then, of course, you know, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not seeing anyone else. I wonder if he's seeing anyone else. And so it's that dreaded question that every dude hates. Every dude hates, like, where is this going? No guy wants this question to come his way. He wants to come to it in his own time after maybe a year or 2 of dating. So we go out, and I remember we were going to see a movie. It was a Wednesday. And I hadn't planned on talking to him about it, but I remember I was sitting in Westwood. Any of you guys who are from Los Angeles, they have big theaters like the Bruin and so forth. And if you got there early enough for a movie, the line was so long that you just kind of have to sit on the pavement. And I was sitting down on the pavement, and I saw these boots, and I knew it was Kevin. And so as soon as I looked up, my heart started beating fast. I was like, oh, you know, this is kind of new. Like, oh, maybe I'm in love. And so
Yes,
then
you were.
He had like, yeah, the story gets better. So then I decided to myself, well, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time on this guy. If he doesn't feel the same way, I'm out of here. And so when we pulled up to my apartment, I said to him, you know, and it was dark in the car, like it's intimate. And I said, you know, I'm not seeing anybody and you're not seeing anyone. So, you know, I don't plan on seeing anyone, something like that. And it wasn't, where is this relationship going? It was more, are we exclusive, right? And you know what he said to me? I want everybody to know this. I love that I get to put this, after 31 years, I get to put this out there. So I'm like, I'm not planning on seeing anyone else. I'd really just like to have us see each other exclusively. It wasn't like, hey, are we headed towards marriage? Nothing like that. I was 23 years old. And he says, you know, I've got to think about it. Can you, I mean, I get mad. He chased me down and then he had to think about it. I was so upset. So then I was mad.
And you gave me a 2-day ultimatum or something.
Basically, I was like, okay. I said, I can understand why you'd have to think about this. It's kind of a bigger decision, whether to go exclusive or not. And I said, you know, it's Wednesday. We normally see each other on Friday. We can see each other on Friday if you want to continue. But if you don't, you need to let me know. And I don't want you to ever call me again. I wasn't gonna, I was done. I'm like, and I sounded really strong, like in the car. But then I remember going inside my apartment, and I had this little tiny studio apartment, and I got in the bathtub and ran the water and cried. It was so sad. I'm like, okay, well, I think this is a done deal. And so I worked at UCLA, and so I was at work, and he called the very next day instead of waiting till Friday. So I knew, I don't even think they had caller ID, did they?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. And so I remember that, like, I picked up and my girlfriend Corey was next to me, and I like covered the phone and kind of jumped up and down because I told her what happened. And so I knew, okay, this is good. And then after that we went out, and it's funny because we never, people may find this hard to believe, but I was never like looking to necessarily have the fairy tale wedding, and I'm a romantic, but I was not thinking about like, hey, are we going to get married? And I think maybe 2 years or so in, we were talking, and I'm like, oh, do you think we'll get married? And you're like, I don't know. And I go, I don't know either. You know, maybe we'll just live together forever. And my grandparents were like, oh, they were so upset because we were living together. And it's like, and my family behind my back was having all these discussions, like he's getting like the milk for free or whatever it is, you know. And I just knew I just wanted to be with him. And so that was pretty much it. So when he proposed, I was really, really surprised. We were sitting outside on the balcony at his dad's place. And then he got down on one knee. I think didn't you get down on one knee?
Yeah.
But I still didn't know what was going on because he started crying. And I was like, oh my God, he cheated on me. What happened? Like, that's where my mind went. I'm like, did he cheat? Did something bad happen? Like, it never occurred to me because we were going to live together forever. And that was what we were going to do.
Are you still rolling? Okay. Yeah, I remember this now. So I remember I wanted to get Chantel an engagement ring, and we lived in Los Angeles, and so I went down to the Diamond District and was able to meet with somebody who actually had the raw diamonds, and I went to find somebody who actually created the engagement ring. Okay. And I was always nervous about those rings where the diamond is kind of sitting perched up there and kind of stuck into it. I didn't like that. I thought it was
I want you
so
to just
easy.
tell them how you proposed to me.
Oh.
Nobody's that
Nobody cares
interested
about that.
now.
Well, okay, so I decided that I was ready, and you know the opportunity was great. I knew that you know I had the 10-year reunion, and I said, you know what, and I didn't have anybody else that was, you know, I had to worry about. We had you know
And what does that mean?
I mean, anybody else meaning we were at my father's apartment in D.C. and but he was out of town. There's no one there.
Okay.
So we weren't going to be interrupted or anything.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because that sounds a little suspicious. So I just want to make sure my audience knows.
I got you. So yeah, so I decided. So I said, "Will you come out on the balcony with me?" I said, "I want to have a moment with you."
See, it's okay. So
I'd like to have a moment.
I love that you. Can I just backtrack on this? So the thing is like Kevin's memory for this kind of stuff. So I forget anniversaries, but I distinctly remember this. So Kevin's best friend is Steve Gramling. They have known each other since they were 10 years old. They still remember camp songs.
He does. I don't.
Well, they talk about how this epic tetherball game.
That I won fair and square.
No, Steve says he won.
Oh, I
anyway,
won.
Steve was really instrumental in keeping us together because I was like, this dude, I've been dating him for 6 months. He's never told me he's loved me. I don't know what's going on. And Steve's like, Chantel, he loves you. And I'm like, how do you know? He goes, I've known him since I was 10. So Steve, in his effort to make sure that I was taken care of, says to Kevin, I think you guys were at the racetrack or something. And he says to Kevin, Steve, because Steve told me this story, he says, Kevin, I think you're in love with Chantel. And he said that Kevin goes, yeah, I think you're right. Like, it never occurred to him until his friend Steve had said, I think you're in love with Chantel. And so, Steve, I was going to break up with this dude so many times. Like, once he said he loved me, that was it. I wasn't worried about marriage or whether we lived together. I just needed to know that he was committed to me. That was pretty much it. So anyway, so you decided it was time. I love this.
Yes. I decided, yeah, it was a great time, the 10-year anniversary, or 10-year high school reunion. Mm-hmm. And the moment was right. And so finding the right moment, that was the key for me, was kind of finding the circumstances that would lend themselves to making the momentous question.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was during it, like, I mean, you don't get great sunsets in DC, but that was when we were out on the balcony, because that's what he said to me. He said, hey, come and let's watch the sun go down. It was a really nice proposal once I got over the shock that he was actually proposing. And then 2.5 years later, we got married. I think we lived together for what? 5.5 years
like
before
that.
we got married or something. So we were together a while. There was no rushing it. Anyway, guys, tell me your love stories. Tell me if you have something special. I would love to hear from you. Please leave any comments. Please only leave nice comments. We really love each other, so we don't want any of that stuff that's not so nice. But anything, if you want to wish us any well wishes or have any questions for us, we would love that. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe, click that button, and also follow us on Instagram or Facebook. I'm Chantel Cohen. This is Kevin Cohen. And we help you become one again. Happy Valentine's Day, guys.
Cut.
Oh my God, I started getting shiny.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
come on, man. Since you already stopped. Yeah. Oh yeah, now see. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. I'm like
All right.
super hot.
How long was that video?
Like 40 minutes.
What?
No.
How long was that?
5 minutes.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
There's a lot of good, and I would leave it rough cut. Like if you switch it, just leave it like really rough cut. Yeah, I think it'll be better. Oh my God, I was probably super sweaty. Can you use that at the end? Will you look at that?
I will.
Oh.